Hi everybody. So it's the end of a long, hard day of, I wouldn't say work, I would say being absolutely stressed out all the time, which is a lot of fun. And basically what I want to do to get my mind off of things and do something productive is to look at some decks, which is quite unusual actually for the videos that I make. But anxiety people, I get you. I know that sometimes we just need to be surrounded by these beautiful things and these things that bring us comfort. And what better thing is there than a tarot deck? Am I right? So these are the decks that I am feeling are helping me, and even without reading them, because I can't read all of them. I feel I just have a few here on the couch with me. It does bring me some kind of relaxation to just flip through a deck. But yeah, I'm just going to show you some of my decks and talk you through some of this stuff. You know, there actually is a topic that I want to address, but it's not enough for an entire video, maybe, because it's just a thought. One of the decks I have here is my Centennial. It's a Rider-Waite-Smith, which you've all seen, unless this is your first video. Um, and I love this deck. It's just, I don't know, it's just gorgeous, and it's the system I started with. Um, the thing is, though, I love this deck. It reads wonderfully. I love the system, the history of the deck. You know, the artwork, I'm actually not sure, but it's just the first tarot deck that I knew. So for the longest time, like many of us, when we were saying tarot cards, we thought Pamela Colman Smith artwork. Nothing wrong with that. And I mean, I get so much out of these images, and so do my clients. The thing is, though, I'm wondering if all the Rider-Waite-Smith clones that are still to this day coming out in mass, maybe they're ruining our connection or our relationship to this deck. That's one of the questions that I have. Because you see, for the longest time, and I have them in my uh, in the back here, for the longest time, we had only the Rider-Waite-Smith, some type of ugly traditional Marseille, and the Thoth deck. And then maybe here and there, slowly but surely, there came more decks to choose from. And I know that, you know, for instance, Tarot of the Cat People, Tarot of the Moon Garden a little bit later, um, you know, those types of decks that really do follow this image, this imagery, but then adding in an extra theme or making it different colors, like the universal weight, making it softer lines. Back in the day, that was kind of a way for people to read the tarot, because they all learned with this one. Not all, but you know, in the English speaking world, they all learned with the Rider-Waite-Smith first. But a lot of people hated this deck. Not the Centennial one. This one's out since 2009 probably. But you know, the yellow box. The yellow box with the two yellow yellows, the two blue blues, the muddiness, and the fonts type or type fonts, and the backs that aren't as charming as this, even though nowadays we tend to love the plaid backs and the copyright and all that stuff. Honestly, to me, they weren't the prettiest card for sure. Although this one, the Centennial, this is just my favorite. It's just because it's so dark and moody, and the colors are beautiful, and the line work is quite perfect, I'd say. And there's the actual Pamela Colman Smith lettering. So I get why we started getting Rider-Waite-Smith clones. That's how we call it, right? Different types of this deck. Even this one you could say is a clone because it looks aged. US Games did something to the original artwork that they had. And even then it's not even original artwork. It's probably scans of old decks or just enhancing the the decks that I have, you know, because the original plaques, I guess it was called, they all got ruined in a fire, I believe, if I remember correctly, at some point, or in a war. So we don't actually have them, you know, the originals. But this to me feels like the real thing. What I'm trying to say is I totally get the need, actually, back in the day. You know, the market actually, the people reading tarot actually asked probably for more beautiful decks, more beautiful tarot decks. And then what most people in the English speaking world meant by that is Rider-Waite-Smith clones, but then make it pretty, make it purple and pastel, or make it with cats, or make it the exact same images but then with prettier colors or different faces, just enhancing it and adding an extra theme, because honestly the theme of the Rider-Waite-Smith, I'd say, is, you know, you get the medieval stuff and the knights and the pages, and it's and there's a lot of ancient Egyptian imagery in there as well. You know, I mean, we saw some knights, we saw the chariot. For instance, Terror of a Moon Garden, which is a deck I like and I'll never get rid of because I know that that is the deck I would have picked for myself had I had the chance of picking one out as a kid, you know, growing up in the 90s. Terror of a Moon Garden, absolutely my inner child deck, if you know what I mean. But it's just an extra theme added onto the medieval theme of this one. Again, nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying there was a reason for it back in the day, and now it just feels so extremely oversaturated. And I'm not the first one to say this. Everyone's kind of sick of Rider-Waite-Smith clones. Not everyone. I think my point is, I really like this deck, which I know plenty of people don't enjoy working with this deck, but they have a Rider-Waite-Smith clone that they connect with. So very good, good thing, you know, that's kind of like the solution in order to read the tarot so that you don't have to work with a deck you don't like. Of course, we like to work with images that we feel attracted to, you know, and find some parts of ourselves in. It's just, it's been years already that we've felt, I think, as a collective, this oversaturation of the tarot industry, which isn't huge, it's very niche. But the Rider-Waite-Smith clone is just one of those things where I think we might be past the amount of Rider-Waite-Smith clones that come out. You know, I don't say stop making them all together. I say choose your own system as the creator, right? Or as Los Scarabeo or US Games or A.G. Mueller, whatever. Choose your own system that you feel will work best for the deck. It's just that it's not a tarot deck if it's not a Rider-Waite-Smith. Did that make sense? I'm not sure. I'll have to rewatch that sentence. But I'm saying it, to me at least, it felt like it had to be a tarot, it had to be Rider-Waite for it to be a tarot deck, which was a very beginner mindset. And of course, growing up in Holland, knowing the world without internet, actually doing homework as a kid from books, you know, and going to the library, stuff like that, which I'm still so grateful that I actually knew times like these. I'm just saying the world just seemed a little bit bigger, which meant that things were out of reach and we didn't know as much. We weren't as informed. Nowadays, all I have to do is do a quick Google search, enter a few, I don't know, search words, and then add tarot in the end, tarot deck. And then I'll get, I don't know, the fruit tarot deck, or the roses tarot deck, or the carpet tarot deck, or what else is here? Just anything, really. And you'll find out within a second whether it exists, and if it does, if it's something you like. And then, most of the time, you'll be able to order it right away as well. Back then, everybody knows this, but back then you actually had to go to the esoteric shop or the odd bookshop and just see what they had. And they didn't have half of what they have now. Now, of course, it's a bit of a trend, so it's everywhere. Fine. Urban Outfitters has tarot decks? Sure. I actually bought the How to Deal Tarot there, but it was way too young and I gifted it to a young friend of mine, which was, I think it's pretty cool. Unlike the weird aunt, That's my role in family-ish life, family type life. But yeah, basically the options were a Rider-Waite-Smith deck, and it was called the Rider Tarot, or the Crowley Tarot. Most of the times in Holland, there wasn't even a Marseille. Just saying. There was probably not an oracle, but the gypsy playing cards or witchy card, I don't know. Like one of those that I just never used. So my actual point here, because I didn't know this was going to be such a big a ramble, but I get a little disappointed, a lot actually lately, when getting a deck or looking into a deck that I might be interested in and seeing that it's again a Rider-Waite-Smith clone. Maybe it's because I've been doing this for a while and I'm on YouTube taking up space, telling people my opinion and my ways of reading, my ethics, the things I actually find important with this practice, this spiritual practice, and then all the stuff, the tarot community stuff that comes with it. I enjoy it a lot, but I don't know, maybe that's why I get a little bit overstimulated, because I'm actually online looking at decks. Even without looking it up, it's in my feed. It's on Instagram, it's on YouTube. That's basically all the social media I use as a way to promote my tarot business, but also just for fun. So that all melds together, and that's fine. It's just that might be a factor, is what I'm saying. It might be a factor that I just see it all the time, and I see new decks. Not all of them. I believe I'm still pretty much unaware of Kickstarter decks, etc. I've never backed anything on there, and I'm not a deck collector per se. I like my decks, and I have a relatively small collection. Although, again, relatively, because for normal folk, this is huge. Why do you need, what is it, 28 decks? I don't know. I thought that wasn't a lot. Anyway, I don't care about that. I don't care about amount. It's just about being overwhelmed or not. I talked about that in plenty of videos. But I'm saying, yeah, I get excited about decks, and then whether I ordered the deck and I have it in my hands and I look at it first, flip through at home, and realize it's a complete Rider-Waite-Smith, I'm looking for something else nowadays, and it might be very unfair to say so because I still love the Rider-Waite-Smith. I'm one of those people who love that original artwork, and the Centennial makes it beautiful. It's, in my opinion, the best Rider-Waite-Smith out there. Don't give me yellow box. It sucks. And I understand where that need and wish and market came from making Rider-Waite-Smith clones. But it's 2022 and we're still all making Rider-Waite-Smith clones. It's like how much I feel it stopped making sense or adding something to it a long time ago, to be honest. That was my rant, but I do have an exception, which is the Ritual Tarot by Jeremy. Because this is one of those decks that I flip through without reading it, just to look at the beautiful images. It's so good. And actually, there is a lot of Thoth imagery in there, but there's still a lot of Rider-Waite-Smith cards. This would be the Nine of Swords. This is the Eight of Cups. There's a mountain, you know, there's a moon, there's a dark sky. This is the Seven of Wands. Very reminiscent, isn't it, of the Rider-Waite-Smith. And this, the icing on the cake, the Ten of Swords, which I have a feeling nobody likes. Out of all the people who opened this deck, I don't think any of them actually like this card. It's just a feeling, I don't know. When I saw this card, my first reaction was one of, yes, a little bit of disgust, a little bit of disappointment, a little bit of not again. You know, couldn't have been anything else. Couldn't have been anything else with the same or similar meaning, with a little bit more depth. But this card passed the test for me because it's an obvious Rider-Waite-Smith card, right? 10 of Swords. Here there are 10 daggers pointing to this, in this card, naked person on a bed, I think, and here in the background we actually have either an explosion or a big cloud, both obviously. So yeah, element of air very much present there, but it's quite cruel and you can see pain and hurt, which is part of the Ten of Swords. Yeah, it's one of the ways to interpret it. Of course, I'm also a Marseille reader, so there are different ways of interpreting that as well, because it's just the end and a new beginning at the end of the suit of the element of air, which is about the intellect. So plenty of ways to see that, you know. But what I tried to say before, this image passed the test for me. Because yes, it's obviously Rider-Waite-Smith, but I got this real, raw feeling from this image. I kind of felt it when I saw the image. Same with the Eight of Swords. Eight of Swords actually was much stronger of a reaction. Basically, I don't know how else to explain it. Basically, that's all I need. This is the Eight of Swords. Basically, it's forgiven, or it's fine, and it's still beautiful and still meaningful, and there's a lot of emotion and feelings there. You actually feel the card, you know, the energy of the card, the power of the card, the lesson of the card, the memories, things you remember within the body. The body holds memories by looking at these images, these pictures. I got lost again, but I mean, it's forgiven. to me. uh, that this is obviously again the same. I shouldn't say this, it's different. This, again, the same stuff that we see all the time, all the time. The decks that I like, there's still so much Rider-Waite-Smith imagery in there, and I just wish it wasn't the case. Except when it's good like this, I was surprised at how much I actually accepted this. That it feels like that's the way the card should be, and that's it. I feel it does add something. That too. I feel it does add something to the original Rider-Waite-Smith image. And it's just such a beautiful deck, and it is full of symbolism and meaning. And yes, we get a Four of Cups that looks like this. But isn't it cool? Doesn't it give you a lot? It's just so well done. Here, Three of Swords. We can see the meaning came from Rider-Waite-Smith or Thoth, actually, but it's different. I wouldn't say this is a Rider-Waite-Smith clone card. Look, I don't even know if I really have a point or a conclusion, or I just want to put that out there, and I want to know what you think about this. Are we done with Rider-Waite-Smith clones? I get it. I have actually quite a lot of them in my small collection. I'd say almost half of my decks are Rider-Waite type decks. Either actual clones, you know, like the Moroccan Fez, or Golden Rider. Clones in the sense of what I keep saying, Tarot Moon Garden actually is a little bit different. But another clone is Terror of the Magical Forest. Definite clone, but it's with animals. Oh, cute. Oh, the Druidcraft. I'd say that's a clone. I'm drawn to decks that aren't so much of the same again, over and over again. Because, I mean, I don't have to show you my Triomphe. It's fine, we all get it. This I will love forever. Crow's Magic Tarot. Ugliest deck I own. And it's wonderful. It's amazing. A friend of mine actually said something beautiful about this deck. It's like, he said it's like the crow, because we don't see the crow a lot, but it has crow energy, right? Crow's Magic Tarot. The crow is actually that creature that transforms. So every time we see a different animal in the card, it's the crow in a new form. And we are the crow, and we have a new form. I love that. I love that. And we are probably making it a lot more complicated and deeper than Londa Marks, the maker of this deck, ever intended for this deck to be. But I don't care, because it's good and it adds meaning, you know. And this deck is going to continue to gather more meaning and layers, because it's actually a shamanistic deck. I don't know enough about that, you know, but it's one of dreams. It's a cosmic deck. It's definitely cosmic deck. And the sacred deck, actually. Yeah. And a rebel deck at the same time. But to me, sacred and rebellion is very, very tied together. So obviously another cosmic deck, to me at least, is the Thoth. This deck got me into trouble. The advice that this deck gave me. At the same time, though, it's poetic, it's beautiful, it's deep, it's full of love and power. And that rebellion, that sacred rebellion, for sure. So it really depends on the day, whether the Thoth is a deck that screams at you, or whether it's just a big hug. And honestly, with my chaos scattered brain at the moment, with all the stress, I have had trouble, to be honest, reading the Thoth, interpreting the Thoth some days. You know, of course, I read with this deck professionally as well, so I should say I always know what it means. But as I said in a video 2 weeks ago, probably, I kind of laid the Thoth aside and read with Rider-Waite-Smith for shorter readings for my clients. Because short readings, they have to be short and snappy and quick. It doesn't mean they are not deep. People actually, take something very important from these consultations. It's just for 15 minutes, I have done it with the Thoth deck. It's just doesn't make sense for me right now. So there is something going on. Someone said my energy shifted. Yeah, I know. I know. In a good way, but also in a, this is so difficult way. Just what I keep saying, it's stressful times. Stressful times. But yeah, a little bit difficulty sometimes interpreting Thoth, and sometimes I actually think it's because of the cards that I get, the questions I ask, the cards I get, and the combination of cards I get. So yeah, I basically took the Thoth aside a little bit, even though I kept reading with it for myself. But I didn't get the same clear messages, like actual answers to my questions as I did for the Rider-Waite-Smith that I've been using for clients last month. Yeah. Maybe it's also a mode, a state of being, because obviously when I read for someone else, I have to be alert and focused and concentrated, and I have to step up my game, and this is my realm, this is where I'm the boss and I have to deliver, and I want that person to walk away with something that they didn't know before. It is important work to me and I want to do it well, and maybe when there are higher stakes, meaning I'm doing it for someone else and I have to be clear headed to interpret the cards anyway, that's possibly a positive factor for my ability to make sense of a spread of cards. Just being honest here. Yeah, it's just for myself, it's been a little, yeah, just different. But it's okay. It's fine. I still know I can do this. The other deck that I love to be around at the moment is the Living Altar Oracle. Surrender is like the chaos, origin, center, source card. And it gives me rebel witch and rebel and radical for me, I just need that overly magical but also natural, which can be considered the same thing, power right now. And so having this deck, even if it's just to look at the beautiful artwork, in my opinion, I don't know, it just does something good. So yeah, my energy has shifted. Again, I know it's also in a positive way, so don't worry, I'll be fine. And it's actually, I am doing things that I want to do. Yeah, things are changing, are shifting. Also, just to be fair, it's summer, and in summer my energy is always different. So yeah, I'm not gonna show. Let's just show you a little bit of my Triomphe, because this is the deck I go back to just always, because this is the one deck. Well, that's not true, but this is one of the decks that I always understand the meaning of. There's never that what confusion or uncertainty or mixed messages with this deck. It's always, I know what it means and I can explain why that's the message, and at the same time I don't, when it's readings for myself, I don't really have to explain why to myself because I just feel it. So it's got the entire package, you know. That might be a video for someone to do VR on. If a deck makes sense to you by using analytical thinking, or if a deck makes sense to you by feeling it. Like that 10 of Swords or 8 of Swords of the Ritual Tarot. It's more of that, I got a reaction, you know? And I get a reaction with this deck. It's my favorite deck, so you know. I feel it's still complete. And yes, I am using the Marseille. I didn't yet. I might do that one of these days because I do like some cards of the illustrated pips more than others. So I might, you know, mix in some of those illustrated pips of the Triomphe della Luna Paradoxical into my Marseille version. But for now, I'm so satisfied with the Marseille. So yeah, I'm not really touching the illustrated version. And actually the last deck that I have here that I just wanted to have next to me and admire, which is actually a deck that I have stowed away, so I had to take it out of a box in a box, etc. It's a Casanlar Tarot. This is not a flex of some sorts to show you I have this deck. It's just that this is one of those decks I can't really read with yet, but it's gorgeous. And it gives me peace of mind just flipping through it. Check this out. This is the Devil, and there's the Baphomet pentagram, Solve Coagula. It gives me peace of mind to see this deck because it's wonderful detailed artwork. It has a lot of depth. I don't know the deck, so it's like opening a new deck. So, you know, scratching that itch of I want a new deck, even though I don't actually want or need a new tarot deck. Obviously, I think it was last week, right? I opened 4 new decks. So I'm fine regarding that. But what I love about this deck most of all is how it makes me feel. And that's because that comes from, oh, I'm really searching for my words now. That comes from the fact that this deck is full of different cultures and backgrounds, different people, all together in one deck, which Emile Casanlar called this an ecumenical deck. So basically, the lesson there, or the voice of this deck is saying all roads lead to God. Or maybe I've said that better and more correctly in the past because I'm obviously paraphrasing, but I think he said it doesn't matter what God you believe in. It's all God anyway. And I really do like the concept of God and the idea of God, and I do believe in more than just flesh and blood. And actually, I think flesh and blood can be divine as well. So just, you see how I start to make no sense? It just makes me think and contemplate divinity, humanity, whether everything truly is connected or not. And I'd say, yeah, reincarnation, just love. And there's still a lot, crazy amount of stuff, of details, of symbols for me to discover anyway. But most of all, it's actually just the message of this deck that I find the most beautiful of all. And that's honestly why I hold on to it. And the knowledge or the trust that one of these days I'm going to pick it up, study it, and be able to read with it. I'm just not ready for this type of study yet. It's a lot, and I feel right now I'm still good with the Triomphe de la Luna. I'm still good with the Rider-Waite-Smith. I'm still very good with the Crow's Magic Tarot. And then with my Thoth, right? And then flipping through the Ritual Tarot, um, looking at the beautiful Living Altar Oracle. I don't need this deck, which is why I almost got rid of it once, if you remember that. But I won't. You talked me out of it. And yeah, I really do see the beauty of this deck. And I'm sorry for the people who really want this to read with immediately. But I have a feeling it's just a challenge for anyone, this deck. So yeah, basically I'm keeping it in a type of treasure chest almost to read with in, I don't know when. Next year, in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? I don't know, but I have to believe and trust that one of these days I'll be ready for this one. These cards are so... I have no words. I think I said it all. So, yeah, that's another deck I just look at and admire. And yeah, it's almost like a picture book at this point, which is very different from what I usually, expect out of my decks and why I have my decks. I like to use my decks, but at the moment, this is where I'm at. So yeah, just to show you a different side, I guess, of me. I am in the mood to play that game, right? The game we always play on my channel. Not in every video, but lately I've been doing the comment one word in case you've made it this far, or implement that one word in a comment in case you have something to say at the end of the video, to show me again that you've made it this far through the whole ramble and rant and just slowness of this overall video. But the word today, intention. If you really have nothing to say but you just want to let me know that you've made it this far, comment intention. Thanks so much for being here. I will link a video in the screen that I think you'll like if you like this one as well. So have a nice weekend, everybody, and relax and take care. We can do that. Okay? Just, it's not about believing, it's about knowing. And in case you're not there yet, the place of knowing, then at least trust. So there's something there. Okay, I'll see you next week.